I'm completing a film study of showing how Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey's return will impact the Ravens defense. Of course, that goes without being said. It should be quite obvious that those two, not being around for most or all of 2021 had a huge impact on the defense. Were all of the injuries to occur in 2021 to the Ravens, except for Marcus Peters being out for the entire season and Marlon Humphrey going out, two-thirds, 70% of the way through the season, were those two to be available all season long, the tone, the talent level of the defense would drastically have changed. I mean, there can be no question that that is the most talented position on the Ravens defense, corner, with Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters there. I have packaged probably 18 to 20 plays together just to show their impact, mostly highlights, but just talking about some of the patterns that develop as you watch them play. And this play just sticks out like a sore thumb. A friend of mine called this he's a DB coach. He called this the illest interception he's ever seen in his life. One of those guys that just, appreciates every level of DB play, whether it's youth, high school, college, or the NFL. He said this was the illest interception he's ever seen. Marcus Peters is playing man on this guy running across the formation. You're going to get these deeper, crossing routes, two posts essentially, by the two receivers. You get all the flow going to the boundary. This guy in motion, and then the H-back. Again, this is 2020, so Deshaun Watson's on the field. And I think this is, I can't remember the guy's name. He's a huge tight end, Fells. I think he plays for the Chargers now. But in any case, all the flow is generally going to the boundary here. And for whatever reason, Deshaun Watson decides to target this route. Watch what Marcus Peters does. This is incredibly smart and aware, and also, like, it's 1st and 10, so he's willing to give up the shorter route to this guy here because he understands the payoff for what he's doing. Look at the distance that the separation that he's giving there to that receiver. Deshaun Watson is throwing it to this deep cross, or this deep post, I should say, and Marcus Peters, who's supposed to be playing man on the receiver to the boundary, leaves him to go make. That's an unaccounted for play. He should be playing man on the guy to the boundary. In Deshaun Watson's mind, he thinks Marcus Peters is out of there. And as he comes back, and hopefully he's 100% healthy, that is the cumulative effect that he has. And what I mean by that is Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, a lot of if not most of the quarterbacks that the Ravens will face, they understand that the more you go at Marcus Peters or go anywhere near him, the more you're playing with fire. This is a beautifully intelligent play. One that I can't think of other corners who make this play. I mean, I'm only 45 years old, so maybe there's some guys that I'm omitting or forgetting. I can't think of, maybe Champ Bailey. I can't think of another guy. And I'm probably forgetting some people that would make this play, but the fact that he had the awareness of the situation to be able to open up, he does it. Watch his face mask. Here. He's already looking at the routes as they're developing. And I think that as he's running across the field here, he's really not concerned about this. I think there's probably some level of film study involved in this whereby he knows he's not getting a wheel. But even if he does get a wheel, at the depth that he's running across behind the linebackers, he's going to be able to turn and play this wheel. I think as he runs across here, he sees this number one receiver from the other side flash across his face. And I think he understands it's not going to be, a sail route or a post corner. So he understands I can absolve myself of anything to do with that. And now I'm looking for work coming from the other side. I really think that his brain processed all that in the second and a half as he ran across the field and the ball was snapped and the route started to develop. You guys let me know. Sometimes I probably give too much credit to the players for their processing, and maybe they're just making an athletic play, but I don't think so in Marcus Peters' case. Look, he's a great athlete. He is. But the level of intelligence, he's already, you can see, his hips are already parallel, to the line of scrimmage. He's looking in here already at Deshaun Watson's eyes or face mask. seeing that Deshaun Watson is looking at something in the middle of the field. There's an element of math to this too as he comes through here. You know, he knows, all right, 1 is the receiver that I'm covering. 2 is the guy who's leaving here. 3, I've got the running back. The running back's not going to flare to this side if Peters' man is going, you know, the win in motion, if he's going here. So I think there's an element of math to this. Like, okay, 1 is my guy. 2 is this guy who went across here. 3, the running back I don't need to worry about. There's only 2 other eligible receivers. I think he's processing things at an elite rate. Elite isn't even the word. You know, how many pick sixes does the guy have in his career? The impact, this is going to sound weird to say and I think Marlon Humphrey is a fantastic football player. Marcus Peters' return probably has a greater impact on this defense because, in my opinion, when you team him with Marcus Williams and Humphrey, don't get me wrong, but when you team him with Marcus Williams, and now Marcus Peters understands that he's going to have help on a leverage side, you know, oftentimes the middle of the field, I think it's a force multiplier effect like the Ravens, man, this is going to sound scary to say, like the Ravens haven't had since we had Ed Reed back there. Now, Marcus Williams and Marcus Peters don't fit that same paradigm as Ed Reed, don't get me wrong. But Marcus Peters brings that element, if you ask me. And having a reliable, athletic, savvy free safety back there like Marcus Williams, I don't know that we can even understand, myself included, how big of an impact it's going to be when Marcus Peters comes back, along with Marlon Humphrey, don't get me wrong. I do have a longer film study of multiple plays, you know, packaged together with some patterns and some observations. But this one stuck out like a sore thumb, and I remembered that description from a buddy of mine who's a DB coach, like I said, saying it's the illest interception that he's ever seen before. You guys let me know where you think it ranks. The level of intelligence and adaptability that he shows in this play, I think just, you know, makes him an anomaly among even the elite of NFL corners that's in the game today.